Good morning, badass entrepreneurs and want to be badass entrepreneurs. Yesterday was the first day of the 90-day Pivot Accelerator, and the cohort that I'm working with, I decided to do things a little bit different because they are a different group than what I've worked with before. They're at a different point in their career, and it's really exciting to be revamping the program to make the most for them. But the exercise that we did is designing your personal life and your professional life. Now, usually I do this at the end of the cohort, but this time I decided to do it on the first day because what I want for this group is for them to be able to really design their program, design their marketing, design everything that we're building over the next 90 days to create their business in a box such that it supports everything that they want. So everything that they want financially, emotionally, professionally, intellectually, relationally, in their personal lives, in their professional lives, in how much money they want to make. So there's so many different dimensions that we are looking at. We went through the first 6 yesterday, and it was interesting because we do it and we share after each section that we do so that everyone gets a good perspective on what everyone else believes, what everyone else needs, how they're thinking about their endeavor. And it's always interesting to hear other people's perspectives because sometimes it wakes things up in us. Now, with this exercise, we also take the 12 different dimensions and put them in order of what we need most. So your number 1 would be the part that you are most needing to take corrective action on. Your 12 would be the one that you have under control. It's just natural to you to do that. So what we're doing is building out a playbook for the next year of what we want to have. So we're doing this with intention. We're doing this in such a way that it allows you to make small changes every month so that by the end of the year, your life looks completely differently. Now, it's funny because I've done this exercise with every cohort. So I do this every quarter, and I do it from scratch every quarter as my cohort is doing it as well. And it's interesting to go back and look at the playbook because stuff that I wasn't even really paying attention to has become my reality. For example, one of the things that I wrote it was actually in December of last year, so of 2022, was that I wanted to live in a white house, wake up in white sheets, be surrounded by greenery and whatnot. And I went back and revisited that because it's always interesting for me to see how it's progressed. And that is exactly what I'm living in right now. So it seems funny to do these exercises, and a lot of times people don't go back and look at them. But the fact that we've written these things out changes how we are paying attention to things, and it helps us to realize things without even having to do it consciously. So it starts programming our subconscious to actually do things differently. So the beautiful part about this is, yes, things are going to start happening, but it also helps to create balance, because sometimes we think, okay, well, if I can just put my personal life to the side and just focus on my professional life and go hard and everything will be fine. Well, it doesn't work that way. Our professional life and our personal life, they're all contained in the same person. So if one side is suffering, the other side is suffering. If one side is doing great, the other side is doing great. But you can't neglect any of it. So these 12 dimensions really help people to get a good grasp of what is important to me, what do I need to focus on, what are the habits I need to be creating, and what are the things I'm striving for over the next year. And we do this based on not where you're standing right now, but if you could burn everything down, light fire to your world, and rebuild it, what do those 12 dimensions actually look like? So what I want you to take away from this really is that you have so much control over your life. You have so much ability to create intention and to make things happen for yourself. Life doesn't have to be haphazard. Your endeavor doesn't have to be haphazard. Your achievement doesn't have to be haphazard. Your finances don't have to be haphazard. And once you start paying attention to it, you'll start seeing things start going in the direction that you want. Now, most people, especially 40 and younger, it was chaotic. I remember in my 30s, my life fell apart, right? I lost my dental career. I had to reinvent myself. So I spent really my 30s trying to figure out who I was supposed to be. And there wasn't much intention behind that. It was really just trying to keep up with life and feeling like I was at war with myself and feeling like I was at war with the world, feeling like I was at war with my professional life, feeling like I was at war with my finances. Everything felt like it was at war. And it wasn't really until this past year that things really started to shift for me. And it was because I ended up being assaulted, and it just blew my world up, and I had to really start changing how I was interacting with the world. And that allowed me to start taking a step back and get more intentional, because I had to. Like, every day was a struggle to try and figure out, how I was going to take one step forward. And with entrepreneurs, when things get hard, it's the same kind of thing. It can be hard to get out of bed because it feels like we've got so much to do. It feels like, the to-do list is just piling up. And if you try and take the 12 parts of your playbook and do all them at once, then it feels too daunting. So it's taking those little steps. Like, if you could only put in an hour of work every day, what would you be doing? So you can pare yourself down to the most essential things. So if you could only change one thing per week or per month, what would that thing be that you can be successful at? And that's what we're really looking at with the playbook is, okay, we got 12 months to achieve this playbook. We got 12 dimensions that we need to work on. So what are those wins that we can do, and lining those up so that over the year we are creating massive growth by creating those little changes. So if you are trying to create change in your world, if you're trying to be a badass entrepreneur, or you want to be a badass entrepreneur and you haven't taken the pivot to actually do that, what I really encourage you to do is join the next Pivot to Profitable Entrepreneurship Challenge, because we're going to be talking about really setting yourself up for success so that you can avoid failure to launch, failure to pivot, and really get intentional about what you're doing. We don't go into the playbook in that, but we do go into a lot of different components that you're going to start seeing your barriers, your ceilings that you have built for yourself, and realize that it's all up to you. So if you haven't done the challenge yet, make sure you get to be part of that and start looking at what you want out of life and making sure that everything is congruent so that you can get everything moving in the same direction instead of having them fight and pull each other apart. Until next time, I wish you a beautiful day, and I will see you again very soon.